So we're on the cusp of iPhone season 2023. Hey guys, it's Derek and welcome back to my in-car vlog. And today I'll talk about what to expect of the 2023 iPhone season. As we all know, we're up to iPhone 15 this year. I'm really secretly hoping that Apple's going to come up with something really innovative. Now I know I said this also last year, and it seems to be like an annual thing that I'm saying, that I really hope that Apple comes up with something that's really game-changing, and they haven't done so for many years now. We've sat here and we've watched companies like Samsung come up with new flip phones with bigger zoom lenses, and Apple basically is giving us pretty much more of the same with minor upgrades. This is what I expect that's going to happen as the iPhone 15 gets announced in the second week probably of September. Here are my thoughts. What I'm expecting, this is almost going to be 100% true. The new Apple iPhone 15 will be in the iterations of the 15, the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. The shape of it, I'm sad to say, is probably going to be very similar to every single other iPhone that's ever been released. Yes, there might be a little different curve in the corner, it might be a little bit smoother, or a little bit shinier, a little bit flatter, there might be a ridge. There's not going to be anything particularly game-changing in terms of design. I can pretty much be assured that Apple's not going to release a flip phone, which I would dearly love, because if Apple came up with a phone that looks like the Samsung Flip 5 or whatever it's called, I would be all over that, because it's just such an innovative design, and Apple doesn't seem to want to do that. But what I'm guaranteeing that there's going to be an upgraded chip, which is I don't know, A15 or whatever. The processor is going to be a little bit faster. The storage is going to be about the same, because you really don't need more than 1 or 2 terabytes of storage really in a handheld device, and I think that's about as far as that goes. The battery life is probably going to be similar or slightly improved. Most people don't exhaust the entire 100% of their battery when they use a phone over the course of a day, and most people do charge it overnight, so I don't think that's going to be a big problem. Something that we will probably see, because of what's happening in the European Union, is the fact that Lightning will be gone and it'll be a USB-C charging port. Now that's all good in theory, because everyone's got USB-C cables and everything else, including this Insta360 Go 3. We all charge now by USB-C, so you can have a universal cable. But one thing that you've got to remember too is there's still a lot of folks out there who use the wired earbuds that Apple make, and they're still going to be Lightning. So unless Apple throws in a Lightning to USB-C adapter, all these earbuds are either going to be useless, or the consumer's going to have to pay to buy an adapter from either Apple or Amazon or wherever they choose to buy it, and that's just a little bit of a rort in my opinion. Hopefully Apple does the right thing and includes either an adapter, or they just include a set of wired earphones that has a USB-C plug. So cameras will get an incremental upgrade. They may have a bigger zoom, they may have a slightly wider aperture or something like that, but I can't imagine a massive change to the sensor size. Although I must say, the Apple iPhone 14, the Pro Max camera, is pretty darn good, and there's not a lot of improvements that you really need to make. The reality is most people don't use their iPhones, whether it's a 12 or 13 or 14, to its maximum potential anyway, and you're talking about a very limited number of people who are going to need more specs out of the camera than the one that's already on the 14. One thing that I would like to see is that you can default it, that when you shoot stills that it goes to Apple RAW without you having to set it on every time, because that's annoying. I know a lot of people don't shoot in RAW, but for those who do, it's just more convenient that you're allowed to have a default setting, because half the time I forget to switch it to RAW, and when you actually want to do something a little bit more elaborate in post, you just don't have that latitude when you're shooting in JPEG. Apart from it looking cool, the reason that I would love to have an iPhone 15 which comes in a flip phone is, do you know that selfie camera on all the Apple iPhones pretty sucky? Like, it's much better than used to, and you can shoot 4K out of the front camera. The reason why the Samsung Flip 5 or whatever is so good in terms of the camera is that because it's a flip phone and there is a screen on the back, you can actually use the main camera as your selfie camera. So one, you don't need another camera, and two is the back camera, as we all know, is way better than the front camera. So that would be good. And failing to do the flip, perhaps Apple could put a little screen on the back of the phone so that you can actually do selfies using the main camera anyway, and you can actually see what you're doing selfie of, maybe the size of this Insta360 Go 3 LCD screen on the back of the phone. Now that would be an innovation which I would like, and I would think would be awesome. So we've got a phone that makes phone calls, you've got a phone that has cameras, you've got a phone that has decent battery life, you've got a fast processor, you've got decent storage, and unless you do something drastic, it's all going to be the same, and it's going to be hard to compel people, especially, like, I don't know what Apple's plan is. Like, do they want people to upgrade every year? Do they want people to upgrade every 2 years? Especially people who are potentially less tech savvy, less interested in all the bells and whistles, why would they go from an iPhone 12 to an iPhone 15? Because there's not really anything that's more innovative that's going to make them go, wow, this is such a cool feature, I must have this. And that's probably the main way you're going to get someone to fork out $2,500 in this day to purchase a new phone, is to have something that is so mind-blowing, so out of the square, so innovative that people are going to say, I really, really want this, I don't care how much it costs. And Apple hasn't really done that for a little while now. Samsung has, and iOS is so much better in my opinion than Android, and that's the only reason that's holding me back. Yes, I know that there's compatibility issues, that if you go from iOS to Android, you don't get Apple Pay, you lose all the features in terms of your AirPods potentially, of your Apple Watch and things like that, which would be kind of devastating. I think some people would actually be willing to jump ship if Android was better, or two, if Apple actually made phones that are as highly spec'd and as innovative as Samsung, people may be happy to jump from Android to iOS. So there's a lot of innovation that's required. People don't have a lot of disposable income these days. Everything's going up in price, and people don't want to spend $2,500 on a phone that does pretty much the same thing as it did last year. In that sense, Apple is relying on people who are at that point in the upgrade cycle. For example, every 2 years, if you want to change your phone plan and you want to get a new phone, that's one thing. You're going to get the guys and girls who love the bleeding edge technology, and they'd buy anything anyway. But that's a very small percentage of the population, and that's pretty much it. And people who actually phones starts to die and you have to get a new phone because you have no choice. But to get a massive uptake, to get something that's really going to increase their sales, increase their brand, increase their market share, they're going to have to come up with something really, really innovative. And I'm not sure. As I said last year, and probably the year before, I'm not sure that Apple's capable of doing that with the iPhone right now. The last huge innovation that I think Apple made in terms of their iPhones that was game changer was actually going from 4G to 5G. And that really drastically increased the speed of the phones. It made data usage much more efficient and much more enjoyable. But since then, it's all been very incremental. Half the time, like, it's one of those things where if you have a new iPhone on release day, not that you want to, but if you're going to show it to somebody at work or your friends, they probably can't even tell the difference between iPhone 15 and iPhone 14. And that takes away a lot of the, I don't know, people like to buy stuff to show off. Like, that's a reality. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm just saying it's a fact. There's nothing to show off with the current Apple iPhones because they look exactly the same as the last generation. The amount of people who turn around and gasp when you pull out a folding phone, which is half the size of a normal phone, and then you flip it open, and then there's a big screen, and then you turn around the back and there's another screen. That's the stuff that gets from the people who are actually around. And Apple hasn't done that for a while now. There's no doubt in my mind that Apple makes great phones. They're very reliable, they're very efficient, they're very high quality. They cover 99.9% of all the bases, and they're very usable, they're very user-friendly. There's not a lot of messing around, there's not a lot of tweaking that you have to do to make them run efficiently. But they are falling down majorly, in my opinion, in the innovation category. They're the ones who came up with iPhone 2, iPhone 3, where the world was just in awe of such a little device that was capable of doing so much. But nothing's happened really since then. So hopefully Apple will drop something big in September. I doubt it, but there's always hope, and I've been hoping every year. I don't know whether I'm going to upgrade this year or not because I only bought a new phone last year, and it's working as well as I would expect it to do. Unless there was something massive and game-changing, I think I'll probably hang on to iPhone 14 for another 12 months and see what either Apple comes up with or what some of the other competitors come up with. But we shall see, and all shall be revealed in usually the second week of September. So anyhow, that's it. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment in the section below and let me know what your plans are, whether you're thinking about upgrading to the new iPhone when it's released. And if you are upgrading, are you upgrading because you like the tech? Or are you upgrading because it's just part of that cell phone contract cycle with your carrier? Or are you just upgrading because your phone is dying and then you have to get a new phone because it no longer works? But anyway, have a great day. I'll catch you next time in another video. See ya.